the influence of big money and the big unions in our policymakers' decisions. And again, I've been through a lot personally, but also politically, to be able to educate myself better than I was before, and also to experience firsthand how broken our system is. And so, I'll speak specifically to education in the interest of time, but these things I think apply across the board in what is problematic with our country. Number one, money. You see the big industries who have an inordinate amount of influence because of the money that they're able to give, both through their lobbyists and the big political machinery that occurs, and it happens both directly and indirectly. Unfortunately, when we have politicians who care more for money and power than they do for doing their job and the people, we end up in the situation that we are in, where the problems that we see and we experience never actually end up getting solved. When you look at the power of unions, I've been endorsed by unions in some of my political campaigns, and I have seen how some of them are good. I think unions are not inherently bad. The origin of unions that I experienced in Hawaii were organizations that stood up against some of the most powerful, most moneyed interests in our states and fought for the rights of just basic humane working conditions for plantation workers in Hawaii. That was one of the things that drove me to join the Democratic Party. However, I have also seen how over the years, many of the biggest unions in our states and in the country have essentially become political arms of the Democratic Party, and a Democratic Party that is not motivated by a desire to fight for working people in this country anymore. And so that's why we are seeing, for example, some of the biggest teachers unions saying, well, parents don't have a right to have a say in their child's education and curriculum. You have, I think she was president of the Chicago Teachers Union chapter, being confronted on CNN of all places about why she sends her child to private school, but is depriving parents with the right of school choice and deciding what kind of education or what school they want their child to go through. And she didn't see the hypocrisy in that, even in this conversation on live television on CNN. The Randy Weingarten said that the biggest threat to democracy is school choice. They talk about Joe Biden he talks about himself as the most union-friendly president in history, which to me, I would rather have a president that is most friendly towards fighting for the people rather than these organizations that have become very self-serving. There are a lot of politicians, I can tell you, who would be far more open to very real reforms in our education system, if not for the muscle of the teachers union, which is very, 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 very powerful. And then when it comes down to the policies that are made at the local level, and this is why everywhere I go, I talk about how important it is. And I think a lot of parents are waking up to this over these last few years, how impactful the local boards of education are. Getting involved and actually putting yourself in a position to have a say, it has an impact that's difficult to measure. The first person in my family that ran for public office was my mom, and she ran for Board of Education in 2000. My dad's involved with politics now. He's a state senator, but my mom was the first one to put herself out there running for a statewide seat on the Board of Education. It was a statewide race, which usually only exists for governors and U.S. senators, but it was a statewide race, and it was not something that she wanted to do or came naturally to her. It was quite challenging, but she did it as a mom and as a teacher and as someone who homeschooled all 5 of her kids, because she saw the red flags even back then in 2000 that we are seeing bearing fruit today, about a very specific agenda and narrative being pushed through our schools to indoctrinate kids rather than focusing on reading and writing and math and science, and leaving the values and the raising of children to parents. I don't know if that answers your question, but those are the three things to me that are essential to begin to start to solve some of the problems and eliminate the obstacles that we face towards change.
Awesome. You did answer my question, and I wish we had time for more questions, but thank you for your time today.
Thank you.